The vent is really nothing more than a 2-inch extension off your pattern, in where one side will stay flat and the other side will fold over. So as you can see here, we'll also be horsehair canvassing our sleeve at the wrist. This gives it a nice crisp feeling that maintains throughout the wear of the jacket. Here I've folded up my hem. So this is the underside, which will just simply get finished by turning under, cross-stitching, and pressing. On the other side of the jacket, and I'll turn this right side out in a minute so that you can really see. You have, going to stay out, the other side of the jacket will actually be the side that folds over. So you've got yourself a little vent. I always miter my corners here, which I'll show you in the patterning. If your fabric is thick, I highly recommend mitering. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see this a little better. So I have a seam here where I've mitered to turn the corner. Okay? You don't have to miter. If your fabric is soft, you can actually fold it onto itself, and I'll show you how to do that too. So let's take a look at what the vent actually looks like in the draft after I turn the garment right side out so you can see how the vent operates. So this is on the right side of the garment. This may be a little difficult to see because it's black, but here is my under part, and again, this was the side that was just turned over and finished. So it's all going to fold onto itself, and that will get finished with the lining. And then this is the part that's folded back, the mitered corner here that's folded back. So see, it flips over. Here's my seam here. It makes the sleeve able to, if you remember from our early on lessons in tailoring, that this function really comes from being able to roll up your sleeves to work so your jacket doesn't get dirty. This will also be the same thing in the back. It works the exact same way, except you don't have to worry about the buttons on it. So that's why putting one vent in the jacket will give you an idea. Next time you do a jacket, you should try a sleeve, putting it with buttonholes and making it more functional like a traditional tailored jacket. This is actually a side vent. I have 2 side vents in this particular jacket. Can see here, if you're wondering what all that's, those are my tailor tacks that tell me where the hem of my jacket are and where the fold line is for my vent. This vent is not mitered, this one is folded. So I have the jacket hemmed up, and then I simply fold it over. And that goes over the extension. Again, this is the extension side. So this is where I have my tiny fold. My lining will come right to here. And on this side, my lining will come to here. Okay, and they fold over each other. So let's take a look now. That's a back vent. You can miter on this also. I didn't on this one. If you miter, sometimes it's not as easy to make adjustments in the hem. So I recommend that because you're cutting into the fabric. So on the hem, I recommend just doing a flat miter like I have here. So on your vent pattern, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you have a vent, just one vent at center back, which means you have to have a seam there. If you have your vent on the side, you're going to do the same thing. You'll just do it to both the front and the back. So here I'm going to start with the back torso, and I'm going to decide by looking at my muslin where exactly I want my vent to be. And then I'm going to very simply just square out 2 inches from wherever that point is. down and across where I've allowed whatever my hem allowance. I do suggest in the handout for you to do a 2-inch hem allowance, but 1.5 inches works too. That's it. So if you have a center back vent only, that's all you really need to do, okay? Make sure that you'll be adding seam allowance to this. Make sure that right here you put a mark. That's where your tailor tack needs to be. So you are going to need to keep track of exactly where that point is by putting a tailor tack in. That's where you'll stop sewing. Now if you have side vents, I'm going to do something really the same thing, except you're going to come out off of wherever you are on your side seam. You don't want to get too much into the curve on a side vent because then it interrupts the shaping of the jacket. So you have to kind of see, again, if you have a longer jacket, this plot stops at the hip line, the jacket would go below that, so I probably would be someplace about here, but I'm going to do the same thing. I don't have enough paper here, but I'm just going to add out the 2 inches on here, and then again, one is going to fold under and the other one is going to be straight, so it compensates for it. And that's basically how the vent is done on the jacket. On the sleeve, it's a little bit different. See if you can see this here. So on the sleeve, again, you have to decide where to stop. But it's the same thing in that you're adding your 2 inches out and down. And again, it would be on the upper sleeve and the under sleeve. You'd stop there. And then your buttonholes and buttons go within here. Something that I've added that we'll talk about next week is horsehair canvassing your sleeve ends and actually in your jacket body as well. So we'll be running some hair canvas along your hems. This really helps to support it. So I do have a vent document and instructions that are uploaded to Canvas. You can go ahead and do that, but it's very easy. But this is the time before you cut your fashion fabric now, is to just add in your vents. And then you should be ready to go, ready to cut, and then ready to sew for next week.